From Los Angeles to a worldwide audience, this is Boaz Power TV, where we take your life to the next level. Now, internationally known speaker and author, here's Boaz.
Hi, welcome to the Power Show. You are part of the Power Nation, and I'm so glad you're here. Because here we help you improve your attitude, your relationships, your finances, and your career. And we take your life to the next level. This is episode number 208 on Boaz Power TV. I call this one Letters to God. So let's suppose that you wanted to write a letter to God. You had issues, problems, challenges, things you wanted to discuss with the Almighty. You might have a request, not for yourself, of course, or you might have a gripe or two. It would make you feel better somehow to transmit your thoughts to God on paper. After all, no email address has yet been announced for God. And let's suppose that you had composed such a letter and you were ready to mail it. But where would you mail it? What is God's address? I've checked, there is no zip code for heaven. Well, let's think about this for a moment. If God, no matter which way you translate faith, is closely tied to religion for many people, where on earth is the closest place to the religious headquarters? The evidence points to a place about 45 miles east of where I was born, in Jerusalem, in Israel. That's the religious center for a number of great religions. With that in mind, I was fascinated by a feature I saw the other day on CNN. It described an interesting phenomenon, letters to God. Apparently, quite a few people have come up with the same conclusion. They sent letters to the Almighty in Jerusalem. The people who write obviously believe that that ancient city in Israel is the focal point for divine intervention. According to CNN, it all started about 30 years ago with a handful of letters that arrived at the Israeli Postal Service in Jerusalem. They were clearly addressed to God or the Almighty. At first, the postal authorities did not know what to do with them. Then someone had a bright idea. Why not fold them up and slip them into the cracks of the Wailing Wall in Jerusalem, the western wall of the old temple? Located in the old city of Jerusalem, the Wailing Wall is the most sacred religious spot for Jews in the world. Thus, some local rabbis started picking up the letters to God at the Jerusalem post office and brought them as close to God as they thought possible. They placed each one carefully in the crevices between the large stones of the Wailing Wall. A handful of letters each year in the 1970s has now turned into hundreds of letters each year, surpassing 1,000 letters just in the last few years per year. I guess the need to communicate with God has become more urgent in recent years. One man, according to the Jerusalem post office, wrote 100 letters in a one-year period. I guess he wanted to make sure that God got his point. Postal workers would sometimes read the letters just to sense the tenor of the requests. One Israeli man living in poverty wrote a letter to God and asked for 5,000 shekels. That's about $1,000. The Israeli postal workers reading this letter felt sorry for him. They took up donations in the Jerusalem post office and came up with 4,300 shekels, about 700 short. Thinking they were doing a good deed, they mailed the money to the man. It wasn't long after that when a second letter to God arrived from the same man. He expressed his gratitude to God, of course. However, he was dismayed. He wrote the following: Dear God, thank you for the 4,300 shekels. I do appreciate the money. However, next time you send me money, please don't do it through the post office in Jerusalem. Those postal workers stole 700 of the shekels you sent. Amazing, or as we would say, oy vey. Now, if you've got problems or challenges in your life or simply want to create a better life, you can indeed send a letter to God. Now you know the apparent address, or you could do something else. There is a lesson here, and I believe it could be valuable. To save the postage, what if you were to write a letter to yourself? And in that letter, you would congratulate yourself for all of the good things you have done and that you have in your life. I believe that God, or whatever form of higher power you may believe in, will respond much more positively if we come from a point of appreciation rather than a point of complaining. Let's declare on paper that we're grateful for being alive, grateful to have people who love us, grateful to have food, shelter, and clothing, grateful for good health, grateful for opportunities, etc., etc., etc. This exercise will help us to look for the good, declare it in writing, and focus on the possibilities. I believe that what we focus on expands. Be careful what you're focusing on. If it's negative, you're helping perpetuate it. If it's positive, you're helping to nourish it. I would bet that God would appreciate you showing some faith, saving the postage, saving him some time, and writing a positive letter directly to yourself. I believe that a higher level of gratitude in all of us will be directly reflected in a higher altitude of success. So, the affirmation for this edition of Boaz Power TV, a letter-writing affirmation. Perhaps you want to write this down. We're in the writing mode, aren't we? I'm sitting down today and writing myself a letter of appreciation for all the good in my life. I am sitting down today and writing myself a letter of appreciation for all the good in my life. And I believe you watching me is something very good in my life, because I want to do everything I can to bring goodness back to you. And we want to share it with other people, don't we? So please do me a favor, forward this to 5 people you know. Suggest they go to my website, boazpower.com, and they can also subscribe to the free weekly broadcast on Boaz Power TV. You are special, you are unique, you are destined for greatness. And I see you being very grateful for the good things in your life. After all, I do see it in you. You are a champion. Have a powerful day.
This has been Boaz Power TV. To comment, see other episodes, or to subscribe to this free broadcast, go to our blog at boazpower.com. That's boazpower.com. We're here to take your life to the next level.